Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you guys for joining me again. My name is Wilkie and I'm finally back with the next Kritika online guide. And in this guide I'm going to be talking about combat rating or CR. This video is going to be segmented into three parts. The first one just being a very brief explanation about what CR actually is and how it's made up. The second one is, I guess, about the usage or what's so important about CR. And the third one is probably going to be the most important one for a lot of you guys, is on how to boost it or how to effectively boost it. I'm just going to cover most, if not all, the options to increase your combat rating in the game. So let's just dive right into the first part. What is your combat rating? I guess the easiest explanation is it's very similar to gear score in other games, or basically it's the game's way to calculate your killing power or how strong the game thinks you are. So there's a very easy way to determine what it's made of. If you press, normally if you just open your inventory and you hover over combat rating, you can see that rating that reflects your overall damage, attack speed, critical chance, and crit damage. Now if you click on this arrow, you can see that you have attack, crit rate, crit damage, and attack speed. So those are the four values that start making up your combat rating. I don't know the exact formula, so don't nail me on that one. So there might be some weird mumbo jumbo going on in the background. It might just be added up. I don't know exactly which way it is, but I don't think that's really that important. One thing to note here, a lot of people seem to be getting confused. Critical and crit rate is the same thing, it's just in a different format. These 1,608 points critical translate, if you will, into 80.01% crit rate. So these two things describe the same value, just in a different format. I'm not sure why the game made it that way, but basically these points, this is what you get from the gear, and this is what the crit rate is then gonna be like. So for example, if I take off the sword, you can see that this critical goes down and also the crit rate, because those two are the same thing. So that's just a quick heads up on what critical and crit rate actually is. It's the same thing, just with a different name on it for whatever reason. But yeah, that's basically what combat rating is and how it's made up. As I said, I don't know the exact formula, but that's just what it is. Now let's go over to what combat rating is used for, or rather why it is so important or not actually important. First thing I want to tell you is that the combat rating does not reflect your full damage potential. And what I mean by that is stats, for example, like your elemental bonus, like for me it's dark bonus because I'm a Doomblade, and also these three bonuses being crushing, piercing, or slashing, they are not being taken into account of your combat rating. So even if I would have 5,000 dark bonus, which I don't think is ever going to be possible, but even if I would have those, it's not going to touch or change anything in terms of combat rating. So it's not the full number or the precise number of what you can actually do or dish out in a set amount of time. That's just a quick heads up. Anyways, what's the use of that? And basically there's only one, at least right now in the game, there's only one part where combat rating plays a role, or really plays a role, and that's if you go to our very favorite Scar, who is the PvE arena manager. Is, as you can see, the PvE arena is divided into 5 levels or tiers, and those are basically limited by your CR. So if you don't have a certain amount of CR, you're not going to be able to enter it. As simple as that, as the game is not going to allow you to enter it. You have seen the recommendations of the game being like, oh, you would need this and that amount of combat rating to be able to clear the dungeon, but it's still not going to prevent you from going there. However, this arena, you simply cannot enter if you don't have the required combat rating. Why would you want to enter the arena? Well, especially if you can enter the last one, you're going to be eligible for the rankings. Now for the rank info, you don't actually have to click the button. The easiest way to do it is just to click on the helmet button at the bottom here, and it'll show you the same window. And the reason for that is up until the top 100, and this is also a very frequent question I've been getting, how do you get those wings? Where do you get those wings? Can you tell me how to get those wings? This is how you get those wings. Be in the top 100 players, or top 100 fastest players to clear the PvE arena for 60k or above, and you'll be eligible to get wings. The better you are, the better the rings are going to be. For example, rank 1 gets quite powerful wings compared to mine. If you take a look, mine have 300 attack, these ones have 1000, 10% attack speed, and stuff like that. So they're a lot better than mine, but I'm pretty happy with the ones I have. But this is, at least right now, the only use of CR in the game. As I said, we're just going to take a look at the dungeon really quick. The game just tells you you need, for example, 6000 CR, or that's recommended, and if you go up for higher difficulty, it's going to be more. And the green number at the bottom shows your CR, but it doesn't really matter. The game will still allow you to do it. As I said, the only limitation implemented by the game is the PvE arena. So we're going to be talking about how to boost your CR. As said initially, there's 4 things you want to focus on, being attack, critical rate, crit damage, and attack speed. So the most common and most obvious way, obviously, on how to increase it is to enhance your gear. So we're just going to take a look at generally what enhancing does. For example, if you hover over any piece of equipment and you hold control, you'll hover down and you'll see just how much increase you get. Generally saying though, there's by default there's 4 pieces of equipment you want to focus on enhancing, and that is your weapon and all of your accessories. That means necklace, earrings, and ring. The reason for that being is all of these items directly increase your attack just through enhancing. And what I mean by that is, for example, there's, I guess, 2 systems about the enhancing. One is basically just increasing the number of the item. For example, this ring has plus 13. But if you scroll down to enhancing, you can see that at level 9, I get an additional 100 attack. At 11, I get plus 50 accuracy. And at 13, I get another additional 700 attack. And these enhancing bonuses, a lot of equipments do have these. For example, the earrings have a similar one, just like the weapon does. And there are other pieces of equipment that have a bonus that could potentially boost your CR, and that being the helmet, because that one will give you critical, and your gloves, because they will boost your attack speed and attack further on. However, as I said, as a priority, I would say go for the weapon enhancing first and then enhance your accessories. And once you have maxed all of those, you can start working on your gloves and helmet, with gloves being a much higher priority than your helmet will be. So basically keep in mind that enhancing your helmet itself will just increase the defense, so all you're getting is more defense. But once you reach level 11 or stage 11 at enhancing, you'll get a 30 additional critical, which is going to boost your CR. So we're going to be talking about stat appraising in this segment, and this is a thing a lot of people seem to be neglecting or discarding as not that important, and I think it's probably the most important thing to have the correct stats on your gear. Now, there's a plethora of stats that you can get on all of your items, and if you have no clue on which stats to get or which stats are possible, all you have to do is use your reappraisal scrolls, put any desired item you want in, and if you hover over the magnifying lens, you can see the list of all the possible stats for each item. But I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of all of these stats that you can get that will boost your CR. This is not potentially the optimal choice, and I'm not going to be covering stuff like elemental bonuses or accuracy. This is just strictly speaking for CR boosting. So for the helmet, the only stat that you can get on your helmet to boost your CR is critical, and that's it. So if you reroll your helmet, this is the stat you want to be looking for. For chest and legs, these share the same stat that you can roll on them, and the stat of choice for these items is crit damage. That's the only thing that will boost your CR, so if you reroll those, this is the stat you want to be looking for. And as you can see, both of my items do have that stat. For gloves, relatively obvious, there's attack speed that you want to get on, and that's it. And the boots do not have any stat that can boost your CR directly. So the only thing you can pretty much get here is your elemental bonus. Now we're gonna jump into weapons and accessories. This is where appraisal becomes a lot more tedious and a lot more scroll investing. So my sword is not perfect, because that increased crit damage to bosses is obviously not gonna boost my CR, and it's not necessarily the best that you can get. But I'll show you why I'm not going to be risking anymore, because these stats are all fine, so I'm going to be keeping those. And if I were to reroll that single stat, that would cost me almost 700 scrolls, And I'm not gonna get that. So screw that. This is what I'm gonna be left with. But generally speaking, the stats that you want to get on your weapon are bonus damage, critical, which is your crit rate, bonus crit damage, which is always really good, attack speed, and attack. These are the 5 stats on your weapons that you can get to boost your CR. And as you can see, except for the one stat, I think my sword has pretty good stats, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And this is gonna help you tremendously to boost your CR. So especially on these 4 items, like your accessories and your weapon, Appraisal is very, very vital to boost your CR. As far as the earrings and necklace go, they share the same stats, very similar to weapons. What you want to get for is bonus damage, then again critical, crit damage, attack speed, and flat attack. As you can see, the earrings actually have, in my opinion, the perfect stats. I could re-roll the attack speed because it's not necessarily that high of a value, but instead, in case of what actual stats I have, these are on point. This was a very lucky roll for me, so I think this is probably the best roll you can get for CR. Keep in mind that this necklace is purple, so I'm only rolling for 4 stats and not a 5. But very similar to your earring, what you want to go for is bonus damage, critical, crit damage, and then attack speed and attack. Unfortunately, I only have 4 stats, and the last stat again is increased crit damage to bosses. Not necessarily the best stat, but I'm happy with my current gear. So this is what I'm going to be leaving it at. And as far as the ring goes, the ring is a bit different because it does not have a critical rate on it. So instead, you just have to get bonus damage, crit damage, attack, and attack speed. Those are the 4 stats that you want to get in your ring. And the 5th stat is for you of choice, where obviously you should go for your elemental bonus. But generally, these are the stats that you want to go for in terms of CR boosting. I will put a list down in the description because I know this is a lot of information and this is going to be tedious to rewatch. So I'll put a list down in the description of which item to take which stat in order to boost your CR. So the next thing to boost your CR are soul gems, and to make this very quick, the only gems that will boost your CR are rubies, and especially if you're starting out or trying to boost your CR at the very beginning, I think the optimal choice is just to go for Irresistible rubies. In case you don't know how to get those rubies, there are daily dungeons that you can access 5 times per day that will reward you with gem chests, and if you start running them on Insane, you have a pretty good chance to get these gem boxes tier 3 or level 3. And what's good about them is that you can actually choose which type of gem you want to pick. So in case you start out and you don't have any gems at all, what you want to be getting are Irresistible rubies. And those only go into your chest, your leg, and your foot. So these 3 pieces, as you can see, I have Irresistible rubies in here, and in here. So basically you need 6 of those rubies, and don't worry about it, you can always take them out, as all you have to do is go to the Soul Gem, what the hell? Soul Gem Forge, put an item in, and as you can see, you can just take this item out. For example, it costs a bit of gold, and you can just put it back in. So it's not a huge deal. And you can always take them out in case you socketed the wrong items or something like that. But generally speaking, as far as gems go, you will want to get Irresistible rubies at the beginning, and later on, once you have a bit more knowledge about the game, you'll be starting to get into the different tiers as well. For the next part, we're going to be talking about charms, and I did cover charms and gems in my element guide video, but this time we're going to be focusing on different charms that will boost your CR. And generally speaking, there are a few pieces of equipment that you can put charms in that will boost your damage, and generally those 6 pieces are the top ones here. As far as your accessories go, what I recommend is getting your elemental charm in there, because you're gonna get a tremendous boost in elemental power, because the elemental charms in your accessories give you literally a crap ton of elemental boost. So I highly recommend focusing on elemental charms in your accessories. And we're just going to jump over a few charms that you can possibly get. As far as the helmet goes, I think nothing beats the Assassin's Charms. It gives you critical rate and crit damage. Very awesome charm, very often overlooked, really, really powerful. As far as chest and legs go, very similar to Appraising, the charm you want to be getting for has something to do with crit damage. Now, this is potentially the best charm you can get, but this one's very expensive or hard to get. But cheaper ones, stuff like Charm of Good Fortune, do the trick just as well. As far as gloves go, there is a charm that will boost your attack speed. There's one that also boosts your accuracy, which is the highly sought after one. But generally, everything that boosts your attack speed is going to be working just fine. And that's pretty much about it. The only other gem that I have that will boost my CR is in my weapon. For example, shoes only have movement speed. And the one I use in my weapon is Charm of Mighty Battle, which is also one of the best ones you can get, which will boost your attack and bonus damage quite significantly. And as I said, in my accessories I only have elemental charms, so these do not directly affect any of my combat ratings. So for the last few things that I want to mention about combat rating, I'm going to be talking about things that might not be as known. The first thing we're going to be talking about are titles and emblems, and generally titles and emblems are very well known, but what a lot of people might not know straight away is that despite the actual stat or title that you choose, you also have these set bonuses that will increase your overall damage output. As you can see, all of these set bonuses give you, for example, this one gives you 100 attack, 130, 150, 200, and 220 additional attack. And these stats automatically apply as soon as you fill out these titles. And there's also one for Starhenge that requires you to run every of the Starhenge dungeons 120 times, and that will boost your stats by another 400 attack on 1% attack speed. So yeah, that's definitely good, and I definitely recommend starting to get a hand of those. And as far as emblems go, I think there's nothing better right now than the Insanity Star. This thing comes at a price of 500 red boss souls, which are obtained by running dungeons on Insane in any other map other than Starhenge. And this one's really good. That has been buffed in one of the recent patches, so definitely really, really good. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can buy buffs that are relatively powerful for as cheap as 50k each. And I know 50k might seem like a lot, but honestly, these things last for 3 hours. So in 3 hours, you can very easily later on farm a lot more than 100,000. And let's just see, right now I'm about 100,560. So I'm going to be using the attack speed one. So I'm around about 5.7k up. And if I use the attack one, as you can see, these two buffs boosted my CR by another 12,000 for 100k every 3 hours. Very, very good. I think this is just too cheap to not take into consideration if you want to boost your CR, especially if you're trying to get to the next tier of the PvE arena. And last but not least are the K perks, which it was called Devotion in closed beta, but now they are called K perks. And this is just very straightforward. If you spend 130 rest points on any of your characters, it doesn't matter if it's your alt, if it's a level 1 character or whatever, then you'll slowly start increasing your power. At max level 5, you will get 400 attack, 3% attack speed, 40% or 40 critical, and 5% bonus damage. Keep in mind though that this K perks meter resets every day along with your rest points. So this is something that you have to start working on every day. As you can see, I didn't even grind today yet, so I currently have 0 points spent in there. Anyways, this is all about the CR boosting guide. You could potentially argue about stuff like guild skills. Obviously we get from guilds, you can also get a few stats, but generally these are the ways to boost your CR on your way to make yourself stronger. Start accessing the PvE arena in order to get wings and more badges. I guess the last thing I could be talking about are costumes and badges, but I think these are pretty straightforward. Badges, especially in slots, that will boost your attack similar to what I talked about earlier, will boost your CR. Same goes for the costume. Stats like critical and attack speed will all boost your CR. But by now you should be familiar with the 4 stats that go into the formula of creating your CR. Other than that, if you have any other questions, if anything has been unclear, I know this has been a relatively long video, but there's a lot of factors that go into your combat rating. So I hope I did not confuse a lot of you and made a few things more obvious. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. As I said, as far as the appraisals and charms go, I will put a list into the description so you can read that up, so you don't have to necessarily rewatch the whole video. Other than that, thank you guys for sticking around, and if there's anything else you want to know, feel free to hit me up, and I'll gladly provide you with more information. Anyways, that's it, and I hope I will see you guys next